Thank you for joining in another paint with me. This is Gotrek Gurnisson. So I'm going to start painting him today. Now, there is one thing I have to do beforehand though. As part of your painting, his head doesn't fit quite close enough to his hair. The piece that is his hair and the piece that is his head, there's a hole that's a bit too large for me to ignore. So I'm going to use Vallejo plastic putty with a brush, just a fine detailed brush, and fill that hole with the putty. Very good. Most of the model came together quite perfectly and it didn't need any revisions at all. Now he doesn't look like he's losing his hair. That's really the only spot that I needed to adjust, I think. Green stuff is your friend when terrain doesn't fit well together. And then putty or liquid green stuff is your friend when tiny little models have crevices that shouldn't be there just because the model didn't stick together quite right. Now, I'm not going to follow the box coloring, but I am going to follow the coloring that belongs to Gotrek Gurnisson. So I guess I'll go with Guilliman flesh for him. So I'll just do the flesh, and when I have the flesh done, I'll show you what that is. And I'm just using a small base brush for adding all the flesh. I do like the reddish brown that this Guilliman flesh has given me for him. I'm happy with that. It gives a bit of a, looks like he's a bit tanned. I have several paint with me videos lined up. I mean, I have to get some Kill Team guys done. That they were what I had planned on painting next. But then also the Hydra came out, and I've got to get that one done. That one's going to take a while. I imagine he's so big. On the other hand, this has so many details. That might take a while too. Alright. So here he is with his flesh. It's still going to be wet, but gets you an idea of what the flesh looks like now. Next is going to be the strapping for his shoulder pad, because that's going underneath his hair, so I'm going to get that done first. Now, what color should it be? I think I'll just go with Cygor brown for that. And to get that strap, I'm just using my Warhammer Kolinsky Masterclass BR7017 by Army Painter. My go-to fine detail brush. Oh, I forgot his hand. I forgot the hand holding his battle axe. That does have to go fleshy too. I think I'll use the Cygor brown on his boots as well. But first I should get his pants, and his pants I'm just going contrast Ultramarines blue, because I think that will look nice with his orange hair. There he is with his currently wet blue pants and boots. Guess I'll go ahead and prepare his axe for some glowing. Alright. Fire Dragon Bright. Layer by Citadel. It's the first color I'm putting on this glowing, supposedly glowing area of his axe. And I'm just tapping it in there. And I'm not concerned if it gets over, because it's glowing. I kind of want it to get over the bounds of where it should be. See, just like that. Messy as you can be, not thick, mind. But messy. And I'm going to let that dry before I go at it again. Time for his hair, I guess. So, Gryph-Hound Orange. This color, I mean, yes, I chose it as a, I do like to try and use contrast paints more often than anything else really these days, because they just work so nicely. But I chose it because it's also the right color for the shadows of orange. I think I'll change up the highlights to something a bit different. But the shadow color of the orange, I'm happy with. Though I might accentuate it. I'll find out after I have it on his hair, but I might accentuate it a bit more with a darker brown, just closer to the roots and other places that you would have a bit more shadow. And you do have to be careful. You do not want to get his hair color on his skin, because that would ruin, even if you did a fantastic job with the hair color. If you got it on his skin, that would just ruin your good effect. Unless you were going for glowing hair, then it would be fine. As far as I'm aware, his hair should not be glowing. So don't get it on his skin. Or if you do get it on his skin, don't wait. You just grab a brush and wipe it off. Like I just did. Less on the brush as normal. Just so you have more control. Bright orange hair. Now, I do think I'm going to add just a hint of Fyreslayer flesh. Using a small little brush, and I'm going to probably grab some Fyreslayer flesh on my brush, grab some of the orange on my brush, give it an even mix. And this is while the orange on his hair is still wet. Then I'm doing 50 parts Cygor brown and 50 parts of that orange. And this is just to the bottom quarter centimeter of his hair. And again, that is just to give extra depth. It's wet, so you can't quite see it, I don't think, but that's what it looks like. Now his beard, same sort of treatment. Alright, so again, it's still wet, but here's what it looks like. His beard wet. And now I'm going to add that Cygor orange mix the bottom edge of most of his things. Being careful not to hit the top edges of anything. And then where it's a bit, if I feel it's a bit too strong in coloring, I'll just take it off with my brush while it's still wet. Hope you could see that. Now, that's all I'm going to do with his hair until it dries. We're just looking at his glowing axe. I think it is time to add orange and Fyreslayer flesh, even mixed to his axe, where it's supposed to be glowing. This will give this orange a bit of a red effect and also a little bit more of a 3-dimension. But I don't want much on, so I'm like putting it on and then I'm putting it on so that it goes into the cracks and then taking it off again. A little bit haphazardly because where it's a glow and it's fiery and all that, it's supposed to be not uniform. It's supposed to be a little bit chaotic. Guess while that's drying, so I don't actually touch any of that, I'll get some of the Skaven underneath, which means I should probably, it's time to put that guy on. Alright, now, so I don't get a mess on my fingers and the base, he's going on one of these while I start doing the base. Guess we'll go with Wyldwood for the rat's fur. I should probably do their pink noses first. Yes, pink noses first. Do I have the pink here? Probably over there. Wow, that's definitely too pink. You could see it from a distance though. Well, that's fine. If it's too pink, I'll highlight with a pale pink after. No, that does work all right. He must have just slew them. So should I add a gore? Should his axe be covered in blood? Or because it's a god's axe, it like immediately cleans itself. And I guess I'll go with some red eyes. Blood Angel's red eyes. Yes. Now we shall do the wood, and I'll start with using this fine detail brush actually, so I can do his face. Here are the defeated Skaven coming out. I think I'll do Cygor brown on his belt as well, the one apart for where it is going to be gold. Now I'm just going to go straight to the gold because that's going to dry very quickly. Now, big question. What gold shall I use? I think I'll go with the glorious gold just on the runes and see what that's like. And I may go old gold for his other ones. This is very orange though. On the other hand, that hammer is glowing, so even a regular gold would look more orange with that a glowing hammer. Yeah, alright, I'm gonna try it. So I dropped it into the ruins, and then I'm taking the excess off the top with just a damp, not not wet, but a brush. So it's all in there, but it doesn't come right to the top. That's just what it looks like. And I'm going to do that to all 4 sides. It wasn't as orangey as I thought it was from the bottle, so I am happy with adding it to his belt. That rune, I'm going to do a different, I'm going to do it the old gold because I don't want it to be the same. It's not from the same place. Oh my goodness, that was too much. So, alright, I guess I'll show you what that looks like at the moment. Right, and he's got 3 little round bobs on his belt on the back. So I'll add gold to that too, very carefully. Basically, I'll be putting a spot in the center, and then I slowly work my brush out from the center in a circle. So that's what the back of his belt looks like now. The metal on his person. Just going to do his shoulder pad and his bracers and the little bits on his beard are all going this dark aluminum. Airbrush colors. They go a long way. You don't need a lot on the brush for it to go a very long way. Looks like he's got a little earring, so I'm just going to do that gold too. So, to not get it in the runes, I am really just touching the brush to those raised areas of the axe. Alright, there's the initial metal-like look. Time to complete that fiery effect on his weapon, I think. What I'm looking for now is a pale yellow with not a trace of green in it. And I'm using this Dorn yellow edge. So I'm taking a drop of airbrush thinner and also putting it on my palette. And then I will mix the two until I've got a nice paint that's not too thick, not as thin as a airbrush paint. I am going to spot the tops of each spot, 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 spot. And it doesn't have to be uniformly spotted. Before anything further, we're going to use Nuln Oil and Recklin Flesh Shade. Nuln Oil on the dark aluminum and Recklin Flesh Shade on the gold. So just with the base brush, I'm going to go over all that gold. Also going to do the little rune as his hand with Reckon Flesh Shade. Really brings out the face, it does. Oil, basically the same thing. Just using the base brush and putting it all over the every part that I put that dark aluminum on. So his shoulder pad, really getting it in there for the that lion face, because I kind of want it to be seen at a distance. Guess we'll do the Skaven's clothing now, and I'm going to put them in Militarum green. So this Militarum green is just going on the Skaven tunics. And now I'm making certain I've gotten all of the little spots in this Skaven's clothes with more Wyldwood, the color that I used on their fur. And then, now that I can see more of what they're going to look like, I'm using Wyldwood on the underside of them, like the underside of their arms, or the underside of their head, or the underside of their ear. Just the underside that is pointing downwards. I'm using more Wyldwood color, and it's just to give them more shadow. Now for all of this wood, the wood must be old and it's now covered in dirt or dust, so it looks grayish brown. So I think I'm going to go with this Basilicanum contrast. See what that's like. A mix of it with Wyldwood will do the trick. So what I'm doing is I'm putting on the Basilicanum grey first, and then while that's still wet, I'm doing all the shadowy areas, so like the bottom halves of each of these. I'm using the Wyldwood to bring that grey into a slightly more brown. Alright, here he is all painted in that Basilicanum grey and Wyldwood collage. It's all wet, so it would be hard to see yet. That moment when you realize you should do a pupil, but you really don't want to do a pupil. This is BR7004, or Army Painter Wargamer Insane Detail Brush. Now I want a single small droplet. So I did pretty well. I did get it where I wanted it, except for I got a little bit more than where I wanted. But that worked out fine because I used this cadmium skin Vallejo game color to just put a bright fleshy line right here on him, which emphasizes the eye and of course gets rid of the little mistake that I made. And then while I used it, I watered it down a bit and added it to his forehead and his nose just a little bit. I'm not certain how well you could see that, but I will be taking pictures at the end. I think I can go on to the metal in the rune pile. I'm choosing Vallejo Metal Color Airbrush Jet Exhaust because it has a bit of brown in it. It's like a dark metal with a bit of brown with it. Still silver, but with a bit of brown in it. And I'll just use my base brush and get every piece of metal. And again, this is an airbrush, so it goes a long way. You don't need a lot on your brush for it to cover. There are straps on the blades, and I'll just be painting them that same green colour that I used for the Skaven's tunics, but where I painted over it with brown already, it'll look slightly different, which is fine with me. Now it's time to finish the molten effect in his axe. Alright, so I'm going to do an even mix of Gryph-Hound Orange and Blood Angel's Red. Do you see that? See the orange there? I'm going to use it only in the boundaries of this, so the outer circle, basically. It's where this red is going. Now out from there, I'm going to take some of my jet exhaust because I want a dark reddish brown with a hint of metal. And I'm going doing a little bit further out. Then with a clean brush, I'm taking that just plain old jet exhaust. You see the grates on his axe that are keeping the fire within, basically. I'm going to use the jet exhaust to line those grates. And I don't want to cover up entirely what I did underneath. And now with Arid Earth, or some other, it's the color of the inside of a banana. Got it pretty watered down so it's rather translucent. So the very center of this, I'm just dotting it where that metal, that dark metal crossed over. So it looks like that. So it looks like it's molten. Now, I don't know if the camera picked that up or not, but it looks good in person. And I decided to bring that look all together. The steel part, it's all going, and another layer of Recklin Flesh Shade. That just brings the colors all together. But actually, before the dry brushing, I'm using the jet exhaust as a shadow for that dark steel. So anything that is like right close to his person that really isn't going to be touched by a lot of light, I'm emphasizing that by putting the jet exhaust over top the dark steel, or the dark aluminum. I'm not certain if you'll be able to tell the difference, but I'll show it to you. So here I was just using the jet exhaust to bring more shadow to the metal. Probably an unnecessary step, but it makes me happy. For dry brushing, we're using Citadel Layer Auric Armor Gold. As always with dry brushing, we take some on the brush and then rub it off again so it's barely on there. Just the tops of the helmets of his belt. And on the back of where he's got his little nubs on the back of his belt. It's too small for dry brushing. So I'm just going to put a little dot of this bright gold in the center. And to give those runes back a bit of sparkle, just running my brush through the top runes that are furthest away from the fiery center. So for the metal down below, I am using Ironbreaker for my dry brushing. And then for his, I'm going to try Runefang Steele. I'm not trying to get all the metal dry brush, just trying to get it so that it looks good. So here and there. And now for edge highlighting, his metal is going to be chrome, and the metal underneath, here and there, is going to be Duraluminum. Basically, if the metal is looking up, it can have a touch of chrome. So just the very edge of his blade, the top line of the back of his battle axe, very top of the chains running down from his bracers, top edge of his bracers. I even put the slightest touch of chrome on his metal belt, only the very top of the heads, and only very slightly. For edge highlighting, you really just drag your brush, the side of your brush across. So there he is with his dry brushing done. I mean, there is probably more stuff that I could do with him. I'm going to finish up clean up his base. This white here, I'll put that a very dark brown, I think, and maybe give it a little bit of texture here and there, perhaps sand or dirt or whatever. But overall, I am happy with where he is now. Thank you for painting with me. I hope you had a successful painting session as I did, and hope to see you another time. As always, like and subscribe if you'd like to see more paint with me videos or other wargaming material, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!